Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here. Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Matara, Jai Bhairava.
Thank you, sir. So, the KBUF social media team thought it would be a good idea to identify certain relevant topics and themes and also questions that come from a lot of Upasakas who are connected to us on our Telegram channel as well as on social media platforms. And we thought it would be a good idea to take them and request you to address them in this online session and this series.
Yeah.
So, for now, I would like to begin with the current events and what's happening in India and the world. We seem to be facing certain strange and turbulent times. And what's stranger is that you already predicted that we will go through certain tough times in previous multiple podcasts, which were recorded months ago. So how did you have an idea about this and an intuition about this? And what do you think is really happening?
Okay. Yeah, it's good to have our own, recordings and discussions with respect to the lot of questions that come to us and also comes to me in emails and all that. And I don't have the time to respond to all of them. Uh, but it's a good way, a medium of connecting to people and also answering a lot of questions as needed. So coming to the specifics about this current times and how the kind of as a country the kind of phase we're passing through with the war that happened and there's a certain hostile environment around us, etc. So this was evident that something like this is going to come was evident even from last year or maybe 1 2 years. And this is why I've been telling for a few years now, when I first appeared in the podcast, that there is an upsurge of Lord Bhairava that is going to happen. It is absolutely needed for Desha, it is needed for Dharma, and it is not even a handful of genuine people doing Bhairava Upasana or chanting the Nama mantra causes a change in the environment, and that energy of that great deity of Bhairava becomes more activated. Among all forms of deities, Bhairava is the one who is the absolute protector par excellence. And I've mentioned this that for all Shakti Pitas or all centers of power, specifically Shakti Upasana, he is the natural protector among all gods. It's also perhaps not a coincidence that the massive Bhairava Upasanas or the prominence of Bhairava Upasana used to happen about till maybe 11th or 12th century, and after which it started declining, and Bhairava became a deity, a kind of a Grama Devata status he was relegated to, instead of the Para Bhairava, who's the ultimate source of creation and sustenance and destruction. It is also from this time onwards that the country faced a lot of turbulent, difficult times, a kind of slavery of powers that came from outside. Various things have happened. Not going too much into the history, most people will be aware. But it's also a time when the Bhairava Tattwa is going to reawaken, and it's not about me, about any individual. It is a thing that is destined. Bhairava has thousands of people through whom he can get this done, and he will get it done. And he arises specifically, Bhairava of all deities, he's connected to the Ashtami Tithi, and he arises specifically during times when there is a change in the momentum of a land, of a people, of a destiny, of a race that is happening. He is the god of transitions. He's the god who stands at the crossroads between light and day. He's the god of the liminal states. He's the god of death. Death is a transition. He is the god who changes, transforms. He is Shiva who has come down to this earth because Shiva is too exalted and we cannot reach him. So, out of his kindness, he has taken the form of Bhairava and come to this plane to gather people and pull them up. So, this thoughts were already there in my mind, because looking at the way the Bhairava Sadhana caught up with people, this simply cannot happen by the will of one individual or trying. In fact, there was no trying at all. I just mentioned it, and then organically things happened to the state that today, we close to 1 crore japa happens on Ashtami Tithis organically. Nobody went and did any specific prachar of this. I mean, you can do, you cannot do, but people took to it and they saw some benefits. They stuck to it, and from one to the other, it's more like word of mouth spread this. And it's going to, because it is destined to happen.
Right.
So these things already set the tone that when Bhairava appears very strongly in the consciousness of a race, that there is a transition phase that is going. We are uh, passing through, it's like considered that for centuries and centuries of debilitation of India that has happened is going to be shaken off in the coming decades, and there is a reawakening that happen. But whenever these type of reawakenings happen, there will always be conflict. It cannot be done through normal ways. It cannot be through, in a very peaceful transitions never happen. You have to fight the asuric forces, the darker forces, to ensure that there is an absolute resurgence of the power of Bhairava, and by which this land itself is taken up again. So I knew that that was meant to happen. Additionally, there were also Jyotish indications that were showing that from this year onwards, we are going to pass through tougher years consecutively. The next year, and the other years, all of them are going to be tough because it's like a surgery that needs to be done for the good of the nation, for the larger good of the nation. And
Oh,
precisely in these times, we need, among all things, the strength and the energy and the blessings of these fierce deities to protect us and to uphold Dharma.
right.
So that's how this, it's from Jyotish as well as part of intuition that I had an idea that, difficult times are going to come anyway.
Okay.
Yes.
So, sir, with this awareness and knowledge, where do we as a nation, as a people, and also as individual upasakas, where do we stand now? And what can we do in our personal capacity?
Yeah. So right. So on a genetic level, you have to keep doing a sadhana more intensely because it's things are going to be a little tough, but it's a karmic, account of the whole race of the people of the nation. Okay, karmic account of everybody that comes together. So. Because it's tough, that is precisely when you will need the sadhanas of the fierce gods that you do to give you that little bit of protection and umbrella in a very rough weather that is going to come. Additionally, going a little bit more, delving a bit more into Jyotish, uh, India is going to transition. India means the country that was by law formed, the constitution, and the from the moment of freedom. If we take the chart for this country, I'm not talking about the civilizational entity Bharat, which is timeless almost, but this country we call the state, nation state we call India. It's going to pass into start of a Mars Mahadasha that is going to come very soon, end of this year, and that is going to be tough for India. We have, because of various astrological combinations in the chart, in the India's formation chart, uh, we are more or less as a people very emotional. There's a certain softness in terms of dealing with enemies, which we have seen in various regimes, where we should have taken a more harder stance. Things have not gone that way. However, with the coming of Mars, many things are going to change. One of them is that the state, the political leadership, the others will become much more determined. It will be visible both in action as well as also in terms of a very strong verbal dominance that will also be there from the leadership. So, coming of Mars will bring conflicts. There's no doubt about it. We are already seeing the before a dasha changes, some manifestation of the results already start happening towards the end of the last dasha. It's called the dasha chidra. It's the breaking up of one dasha into the other, the junction point basically. And we are already seeing that there's a war with Pakistan that happened, even if small, and this may not be the last one, because given that right now in transit Mars and Ketu are together in the royal sign of the lion, Simha. It is, as it comes closer, it is going to accelerate warfare at a very tremendous scale. And this is like basic Jyotish. I'm not even talking about very complicated theories. Anybody with even 20% knowledge of Jyotish will understand this. So these are very volatile, very powerful grahas, and when they come together it's like a blast. It causes a war. It causes like a very aggressive formation of extreme energies that come together, conflicts, wars, deaths, accidents, things that cannot be foreseen, because Mars also is the Ashtamesh, the lord of the eighth house in the Kalpurusha. So there is an element in Mars that is unpredictable, that is very fierce, that causes injuries, blood loss, things like that. We already have seen the unfortunate the accident of the aircraft that happened the wars, and plus in the Middle East, we are seeing things happening. So things are going to go very drastic, and India will not be able to maintain a stance of neutrality towards everybody, which we have done till now. Which whether it's good or bad is a different matter, but that will not work anymore. So it is a time for decisive action. There will also be losses that this country will face, but that is, in a way, if you look at it, that's kind of karmic. However, I do sincerely believe that as more and more people join in the sadhana of Bhairava and the other fierce forms that we, inspire people to do, it is going to bring a cushion, it's going to bring a certain degree of change in the environment. And the more people do these sadhanas, the more it makes that space, that energy, that environment more suitable for birth of souls who have a greater karmic contact with the deities. And these souls, once they start coming into this land, they have the power to transform this land. So we are not looking at a 2, 3, 5 years thing. We are looking, these sadhanas are meant to cause a transformation for centuries to come, and we are at the junction point. So, as individuals, the one thing that needs to be done more strongly in these difficult times with Mars Ketu combination together, and also the Mars Dasha that is coming, is to intensify sadhana. Even with that, also there will be phases people will find difficulties, but difficulties to ऐसे भी life में आएगा. Without sadhana also it comes. So at least if you do sadhana, there is an inner strength in you to pass through that. On the positive side, because we are passing a transition phase and because Bhairava's energy is so strong, whosoever does sadhana in the next 3 to 4 years is going to make progress so fast that in normal times that would have taken few lifetimes. So there will be a lot of people right now in coming 10, 15, 20 years who will reach a very high state of sadhana. And it will transform their lives, it will transform their perspectives. Things that are looking difficult, things that are looking like, we always have material desires. Ki ye hona chahiye, wo hona chahiye. As these desires, as these material ideas and desires become, at this moment, it can cause frustration to people that XYZ is not happening. But eventually, as the spiritual transformation takes place, as the contact with the deity increases, as one's own perspective and consciousness changes, one looks back and sees that all of these were stepping stones to a greater, more fulfilled existence on earth. This indeed is the aim and the lakshya and the final goal of what we do. And what makes dharma so powerful is because it is a link of contact between the gods and the humans. So yes, that is, the sadhana is the only solution to these turbulent times.
So, in a personal capacity, also, we should accelerate sadhana, and also in a collective capacity to do sadhana, come together and do sadhana for Dharma Raksha and for Desha Raksha, the way that we did on the 1st of June under your guidance.
Absolutely. Yes. So this, I also believe that there are two aspects to sadhana. One is the individualistic way of doing sadhana, which is very prominent in our culture, because especially in the Shakta Sampradayas and the Tantra Marga, it is more of individualistic sadhana that is also given a lot of prominence. So basically, you sit in your home, you do your japa, you do your mantra anushtan, you do your purushcharana, you visit your temples, you interact with a very limited group of people, you maintain the adhikara. That is all good. That is good for getting to a very high individual state. So it is not everybody goes to the same level. Whosoever has the capacity goes there. But there is also time, and there is also purpose, and there is also benefit to collective sadhanas. People gathering together, very simple idea. A lot of people gathering together and collectively doing stutis of the gods, and thus with a common intent. When you get together and loudly chant these stutis of the deities like the KalabhairavaAsthakam or the SiddhaKunjikaStotram, it creates a tremendous effect. I mean, of course somebody can say that the number of people who are doing is not enough. All that is fine, but don't be disheartened by anything. great Great things are achieved only by taking one small step at a time. So I think that it is a very beautiful thing to get together and do sadhanas, as we have seen the last time when KBUF organized this. There were a lot of people from different cities, I think almost 18 different cities in India and across the world, they got together. So these two are very powerful stutis, as we know. The KalabhairavaAsthakam, when you gather together and do it, brings the blessings, awakening of Bhagwan Kalbhairava, who is indeed the most powerful form of Shiva, and who is the guardian sort of a land in a way. And the SiddhaKunjikaStotram is, anybody who has any knowledge will know that it is the most powerful stuti of the Divine Mother. We call her Chandika. And it is, when done together, the SiddhaKunjikaStotra has the power to eradicate negatives in an area. And remember, the Chandi is not just any deity, she is the goddess of war. She is Ranachandi. Wherever there is conflict, wherever there is war, without her blessings, there is never any victory. And Bhairava and Chandika, they are very complementary deities, by the way. It's not that there is conflict. It is she who is the Shakti, and Bhairava is the one who protects the full arrangement of Shakti. The space where Shakti exists is protected by Kalbhairava. So when these two are done together, uh, gathering together in one space with a common intent, with a common sankalpa, nothing complicated needs to be done. Just a diya and light agarbatti and sit together and chant loudly. It transforms both the people who are doing it as well as the space where it is being done. It awakens the energy of the gods. And that is precisely what we need in the times to come.
Right, sir. And are the rules more relaxed in a collective sadhana in comparison to when we sit for a Nitya Upasana? And
Yeah, there are the rules in a collective sadhana are more relaxed. First of all, basically, this is the devotional component is more important here. Whereas when we are doing a mantra japa, mantra anushthan, the concentration and other factors also play a bigger role. Here, whenever we do the stuti of a deity, whether it is a stotram or something like this, anything stuti of a deity, the idea is that you connect with your soul, with your heart, to the energy of the deity, and that is has a very powerful appeal to people. When you sit together, even 10 people sit together and do the Kunjika Sotram or the KalabhairavaAsthakam together, you will see by the fifth, sixth, or the seventh recitation, once the recitation is in sync, it produces an energy much stronger, much more powerful, vibrant, magnetic, and intense than what would have happened had one single individual done it on its own. So that is the power and the beauty and the benefit of doing the sadhana, is that, as I mentioned, it removes, it energizes the upasakas, blesses the upasaka, and blesses the environment and removes negatives from the environment. So many rules are more relaxed in this. Unlike the rules of the mantra japa, anybody who has devotion to these deities, who is somehow or the other connected to KBUF and the sadhanas, can participate. It doesn't require anything, any huge amount of prior preparation. So you just need to have a strong faith.
thank you, sir. And we received a lot of positive feedback also from a lot of people writing to us about the collective sadhana, and we hope that we build upon this more.
That's right. We do want to continue with the sadhanas, and as it is logistically feasible for us, perhaps once a month or something like that. I'll speak to the team and see how we can go ahead organizing these, because it's always good for people to come and gather together, like-minded people, like-minded upasakas, to come together and do these simple but very, very effective and powerful sadhanas.
Right, sir. And so this is like a period for to invoke more fierce and ugra devatas in on our land. So along with Bhairav Baba and Ma Durga and Ma Kamakhya, do you also want to say something about the upsurge of Skanda energy in this land?
It is inevitable. It is inevitable. So the way I look at it is that Bhairava is the foundation, is the soil. Okay, Bhairava is the base. He's the ground floor, is the foundation of the building. Without Bhairava, none of these awakenings would properly happen. He is the first one who creates. He's Shiva basically in a fierce form. So he's the soil. On this soil, eventually there will be deities which will awaken at a much stronger and fiercer pace. Uh, Various forms of the Divine Mother, as well as Bhagwan Skanda. He was, till one point, as I mean, any scholar or historian can tell you, Skanda Upasana was popular across India. I mean, from North India, Afghanistan, or other, even Central India, those parts, till Bengal, there was a trend in full North India of Skanda Upasana. And then somewhere around the 9th or 10th century, it kind of receded. Scholars can tell you why it receded. There are various theories I've heard, but I don't. Nobody can actually say with absolute surety that this is why it went back. Regardless, what is evident is that his energy is going to come back again, because the energy of Skanda has a very strong resonance to the energy of Bhairava. They are both of the Shaiva type of deities. Uh, in a way, for people who do Bhairava Sadhana, one of the easiest ways to understand Skanda is that, like Vatuka Bhairava, who's the child form of Bhairava, his child, but he has all the powers of KalabhairavaAsthakam, all the powers of the 64 Bhairavas, is the protector of the Tantric path. Similarly, Skanda is the protector of the Vedic path, and he is also a child form. In fact, there are old manuscripts that are there. Somebody had sent me one where Vatuka Bhairava was referred to, or Skanda was referred interchangeably. These names were used. So we know that, therefore, at one point, these deities were conceived as very similar to each other, just that the paths were slightly different. So, Skanda Upasana is absolutely going to awaken. There is no doubt about it. And I sincerely hope that it comes back with a larger force in North India, uh, where it is needed. Because at the end of the day, Skanda is like the Bhairava is very vast. Bhairava has strength, but he's also vast. He's like a deity who holds back that power within him. If you go deeper into Bhairava sadhana, you realize that. So he has tremendous power, but he has also a tremendous amount of control over that power. And until and unless he wills it, he doesn't unleash it fully. Skanda, on the other hand, is like that arrow which has already been shot. He's that fast. He's very, very fast in his response to the Upasaka. When you are sincerely doing it, and it grips the soul. There is this energy of Mars. If we look at it Jyotish point of view, the Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra actually mentions that for Mars related problems, one should worship Skanda. So Skanda is, Mars is speed. Mars is like the speed of lightning. Skanda is something like that. He has that kind of energy, that speed of lightning that he has. Whereas Shiva is like sun. Sun has a more royal status, in the sense that he holds back certain energies. So these deities are very easily understood if we understand them through a combination of the grahas, because grahas are easier to understand. So these taken together, by the way, Mars can also be represented by Bhairava in Jyotish. So it's not only Skanda. So these things taken together, and also when I started, as I mentioned, I think in a few other spaces or places also, when we did this Skanda related interview podcast in this channel itself, um, I was introduced to Skanda Upasana because I was told that it is necessary in order for the Kamakhya court case which we had to fight in order for, yeah, for the protection of the kshetra. This is what had come out in the Deva Prashna, among few other deities that needed to be worshipped. And I did see a remarkable effect once Skanda Upasana was started. When I started Skanda Upasana, and certain sevas to Bhagwan Skanda that we do, for example, every month through KBUF, we do Vishesh Sevas to Bhagwan in Palani, and then a few other, in Tiruchendur, and a couple of others, even in Kukke Subramaniam, and a couple of other temples. In Palani, actually, we send certain ingredients for Abhishekam almost every day from our side of the Seva to Lord Skanda. Along with that, yeah, we do annadhanams on Shashti Tithi for Skanda Priti. So these things and the Bhairava mass sadhanas had a remarkable effect in the court case. I mean, we would see that on Vishesh Tithis, some occurrences would happen, which would reinforce our belief that this is what we are doing is the right path and it has the blessings of the gods. So Skanda Upasana is going to increase, there is no doubt about it, over time, and come back into North India. And why not? I mean, he's the general of the gods. He's the deity of all deities. He's the one whose birth was specifically for destroying of asuras. That is his chief purpose of coming into existence. He was willed into existence so that the asuric forces, the negative forces, can be completely destroyed. And once Skanda comes in the Mars Dasha that India is going to enter, we will also definitely see a lot of Skanda Upasana happening and Skanda temples. In fact, um, as many people are aware that we are in the process of trying to get lands and build 8 Bhairava temples across India. That's a project we have in mind. Each of these Bhairava temples will also have a Skanda Sannidhi present there, a Skanda established there, and worshipped there regularly. There is, apart from the Bhairavas. So that much is absolutely certain. There is no question about it.
Thank you for beautifully explaining that, sir. If you have any concluding remarks on this matter, uh, please feel free.
Yeah, so basically, from as I to sum things up, the Mars Ketu combination on a very mundane level is very volatile combination. So people should be careful of injuries, accidents, traveling while traveling specifically. All these things have to be taken care of, and of course, it depends on the individual grahas in the horoscope and how these two grahas link to them and what kind of situations it may cause. But together, when these two come together, it's like a very, very intense, like a blast. It happens. Okay, so people need to stay very cool and calm, not enter into conflict so far as possible, and general precautions you follow. But on top of that, also keep doing a sadhana, because um, at the end of the day, the deities that you worship are the is like they're not going to change your destiny completely, but they are like that umbrella that is given to you on a very stormy day, when there is a lot of rains and difficulties. At least something is there above your head to protect you. That's the whole purpose and the main chief aim of the deity upasanas that we do. So stay safe, keep doing sadhanas, and participate in the collective sadhanas, because it's not just about you, it's about dharma and it's about desha.
Thank you so much, sir. We'll close the segment.